Many people underestimate the compounding power of repetition. They think if change isn't immediate, it isn't working. But transformation is often happening beneath the surface long before it becomes visible. Just as water slowly shapes stone, or the roots of a tree expand long before the branches rise, your daily actions create internal change first. You build resilience, discipline, belief, and self-trust. You begin to prove to yourself that you can follow through, and that inner shift becomes more valuable than the outcome itself. Over time, these small actions start rewriting your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries. You begin to see yourself as someone who commits. That shift alone can move mountains. What makes small steps so powerful is that they bypass the overwhelm that stops most people from beginning. You don't need to overhaul your life in a day. You don't need to suddenly become the perfect version of yourself. You just need to do something that moves you forward even slightly. One page read becomes a book finished. One workout becomes strength gained. One conversation becomes a connection that alters your path. Step by step, effort becomes progress. Progress becomes momentum, and momentum becomes transformation. Consistency is the gateway to mastery, and mastery is the gateway to breakthroughs. The world often celebrates the breakthrough moment, but that moment is simply the visible result of countless unseen steps taken long before. When you embrace small, consistent actions, you take control of your direction instead of waiting for circumstances to change. You begin creating the life you want, not through dramatic gestures, but through steady, purposeful movement. Breakthroughs are often misunderstood as sudden flashes of genius or moments of dramatic change that appear out of nowhere. But in reality, they are the natural result of the daily choices we make long before anything noticeable happens. People tend to look at someone who has achieved something extraordinary and assume that a single moment created their success, when in truth that moment is only the tipping point of countless decisions made behind the scenes. The real work happens in the quiet hours, in the repetition, in the moments when no one is watching and no applause is given. Breakthroughs are built slowly, almost imperceptibly, through the accumulation of effort, discipline, and persistence. Every day you make choices that either move you closer to or further from the life you want. And most of the time, those choices seem too small to matter. But they do matter. They shape the path beneath your feet, and eventually that path leads to a defining moment that looks sudden from the outside but feels earned from within. When you shift your perspective and understand that breakthroughs are not miracles but consequences, you begin to approach life with far more intention. Instead of waiting for life to change, you recognize that you are creating the change through your actions, thoughts, and decisions. It gives you a sense of empowerment because you realize you are not at the mercy of luck or circumstance. You are actively shaping the conditions that make breakthroughs possible. This understanding also removes pressure because you no longer feel the need to generate massive results instantly. You can focus on doing the right thing today, knowing it will build towards something meaningful later. This mindset frees you from the trap of perfection and allows you to embrace progress, which is where real momentum begins. These daily choices also start influencing your identity. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, clarity over distraction, courage over fear, you reinforce the belief that you are capable of growth and change. And once your identity shifts, your behaviors naturally follow. Eventually, the gap between who you are and who you want to be becomes smaller until one day you look back and realize you've crossed it. That moment feels like a breakthrough, but it was simply the point at which your accumulated decisions finally became visible. By understanding that breakthroughs emerge from the pattern of your choices, you stop chasing sudden results and start building a foundation strong enough to support lasting transformation. The importance of shifting your mindset before expecting life to change cannot be overstated because the way you think directly shapes the results you achieve. Most people look at their circumstances and believe that external factors must change first. Better opportunities, more resources, or easier conditions. But the truth is, transformation always begins from within. Your mindset is the lens through which you interpret reality. It determines whether you see obstacles as insurmountable barriers or as challenges to overcome. It shapes how you respond to setbacks, how you handle uncertainty, and whether you remain stuck in fear or step into action. Before you can experience meaningful breakthroughs, you must first cultivate the beliefs, attitudes, and mental frameworks that make them possible. Without that inner alignment, even the best strategies and opportunities will be wasted. Shifting your mindset starts with awareness. Most people are unconscious of the patterns that govern their thinking. They react automatically to stress, doubt, or failure, allowing old beliefs to dictate their behaviors. To create change, you must first observe these patterns and recognize which thoughts serve you and which hold you back. Once you bring awareness to your mental landscape, you gain the power to reshape it intentionally. You can replace limiting beliefs with empowering ones, fear with curiosity, hesitation with confidence. This process isn't about pretending or forcing positivity. It's about developing a practical, resilient way of thinking that fuels action and persistence. It's the foundation that allows your small steps to accumulate into meaningful progress. Mindset also directly impacts how you perceive effort and setbacks. When you see challenges as opportunities to learn rather than signs of failure, you create a feedback loop that strengthens resilience and determination. Every setback becomes a lesson, every difficulty a chance to grow stronger. This perspective shift transforms the way you engage with life. It turns fear into fuel and uncertainty into possibility. The breakthroughs that once seemed distant suddenly appear achievable because your mind has been trained to seek solutions rather than dwell on problems. It is in this state of mental readiness that action becomes aligned with purpose and momentum begins to build naturally. By shifting your mindset first, you lay the groundwork for consistent, effective action. You prepare yourself to recognize opportunities, persist through discomfort, and embrace the incremental steps that ultimately lead to extraordinary results. When the mind is aligned, the body and actions naturally follow, and what once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. Progress compounds when you push beyond fear and hesitation because growth never occurs in the comfort zone. Every person has experienced that tightrope of uncertainty, the place where fear whispers, "What if you fail?" and hesitation convinces you to wait for the perfect moment. The truth is, breakthroughs are born on the other side of that tension, the smallest AC. Of courage, the tiniest step forward when your instincts tell you to hold back, begins to create a ripple effect that multiplies over time. Each time you confront fear and act despite doubt, you strengthen your confidence, resilience, and belief in your own capabilities. Those moments may feel uncomfortable or insignificant in isolation, but the cumulative effect is astonishing. One choice to move forward can trigger another and another until momentum builds in a way that feels unstoppable. It is in this compounding of effort, courage, and persistence that transformation takes root. Hesitation is a silent thief of progress. It convinces people that waiting for clarity, preparation, or permission is necessary before action. But the truth is that clarity and confidence often emerge through the act of doing, not before it. The moment you step forward, even imperfectly, you start learning, adjusting, and improving. Each small action gives you feedback, teaches you a lesson, and builds experience that cannot be gained any other way. By allowing fear or doubt to dictate your pace, you inadvertently delay the compounding of these vital gains. On the other hand, consistent action, even in the face of uncertainty, accelerates growth. You begin to see that the fear you once feared is often just a signal of opportunity, and hesitation is replaced by momentum. Compounding works because human behavior is inherently accumulative. Skills, relationships, habits, and confidence all grow when you invest consistently over time. Each decision to face fear, to take a step forward, or to embrace discomfort adds weight to your trajectory. It might start with a single choice to speak up, to try something new, or to take responsibility, but the chain reaction that follows can completely redefine your life. The act of moving forward produces energy, inspiration, and belief that fuels the next action. Over time, these repeated acts of courage create patterns of behavior that become automatic, turning what once required effort into instinct. Eventually, the progress is no longer linear. It multiplies, creating results that feel exponential far beyond what any single action could achieve. The key is not to wait for courage to appear naturally, but to act despite fear and hesitation, allowing each step to build on the last. By embracing discomfort and uncertainty, you initiate the compounding process that transforms small actions into extraordinary results. Taking personal responsibility and igniting momentum today is the cornerstone of lasting change, because true transformation cannot be handed to you. It must be claimed. Too often, people look to external circumstances, other people, or luck as the reason for their successes or failures, but that mindset keeps them trapped in a cycle of waiting and blaming. Real power comes when you recognize that the only thing you can fully control is your own choices, your own actions, and your response to life's challenges. When you take full responsibility for your life, you stop being a passive participant and become an active creator of your destiny. This shift is not about guilt or shame, it's about empowerment. It is about realizing that the very moment you stop pointing fingers and start owning your decisions, you unlock the energy needed to move forward with clarity, purpose, and unstoppable momentum. Personal responsibility is not just a mindset, it's a daily practice. It requires honesty with yourself about where you are, what you've done, and what you are willing to do to create the future you desire. It demands that you stop making excuses and start taking initiative, no matter how small the step. Every action you take compounds over time, and the sooner you begin, the faster momentum builds. Waiting for the right circumstances or perfect timing only delays progress. Momentum is created by motion, and motion is fueled by choices. When you decide today to commit to your goals, to show up consistently, and to push past resistance, you spark a chain reaction that propels you forward. Each decision you make, each action you take, no matter how small, becomes a building block in the foundation of your breakthrough. Taking responsibility also changes the way you approach challenges. Instead of seeing obstacles as roadblocks imposed by others or by life, you begin to see them as opportunities to act, to learn, and to grow. Each setback becomes a lesson. Each difficulty a chance to refine your approach and strengthen your resilience. By owning both successes and failures, you remove the fear of judgment or failure that paralyzes so many people. You realize that your growth is in your hands. And with that realization comes a level of freedom and energy that fuels progress. The act of taking responsibility ignites action, and action generates results. The cycle feeds itself. The more you own, the more momentum you create, and the more momentum you create, the greater your breakthroughs become. When you stop waiting for life to give you permission and start taking charge of your journey, the possibilities expand and your capacity for achievement multiplies.